made a playlist? That's cute.
Don't go through my phone. So what happens tonight?
You're gonna drop me off and then you'll go home, I guess.
Oh.
Did you think we were gonna have sex?
Nah. Nah. No.
We failed to execute a turn signal back there.
Oh, my bad.
Step out of the vehicle.
Can I ask why, officer?
No, you may not.
Put your hands on your head and get on the ground now.
Are you serious?
Get on the ground!
Why is he under arrest?
Get back in the car!
I am an attorney.
Jill,
I'm
just
reaching for my cell phone.
What if God wanted me to die and I messed up his plan?
I don't think that's what he wanted.
Hey, is this y'all?
We have to go. Now. It's all over the news.
I support what y'all doing.
It was tough.
Aloha. This is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man. And, you know, I want to say opening night. Unfortunately, it's not true. This movie actually opened up during the Thanksgiving holiday. So I'm a little bit late, you know, with the holiday and seeing, you know, the other movies that I did last week. I didn't get around to seeing this one, Queen and Slim. I had seen the trailers for this much earlier, you know, I think since since the summer, and I was looking forward to checking it out. Definitely. It definitely looked like a rather interesting commentary of a movie on race relationships, especially with regards to Black Lives Matter. As you can tell from the preview and the trailer to this movie, that is exactly, you know, what this movie encompasses. Taken, you know, a little bit to an extreme, but unfortunately only a little bit. And, well, without further ado, shock a thumbs up. It's good to see. I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down. It's junk. I don't recommend it. And for the movie Queen and Slim, starring Daniel Kaluuya and I think newcomer, I'm not sure if I'd seen her in anything, but Jodie Turner-Smith. Both of them give outstanding performances. We know Daniel Kaluuya from Black Panther, Get Out, you know, all of those great movies. He's really, you know, been an up-and-comer since bursting on the scene pretty much with Get Out. Doing an amazing job with his acting. And, you know, Jodie Turner-Smith in this does a fine job as well. Definitely handles this difficult role, you know, with apparent ease. That would show that she's, you know, capable of going on to much greater things and a fabulous future in Hollywood. Let me just state that even though this is a shock a thumbs up, it is a good movie. Like I said, when I first saw this movie as previews back in the theater during the summer, looking for it to come out, right away it invoked the feeling of like a modern day Bonnie and Clyde kind of movie. And, you know, in the movie itself, these two, you know, Daniel Kaluuya and Jodie Turner-Smith are often referred to as a Bonnie and Clyde couple throughout this movie in various news reports, etc. And one can easily see from in the trailers where the crime is committed that it, you know, and they go on the run from the law, that it appears to be very much that. However, I would say that it's, you know, much more of a modern day Thelma and Louise, because which might have been a take on the old Bonnie and Clyde in a sense, but essentially these are two people who innocently, unfortunately, get caught up again in circumstances beyond their control, as any maybe person of color can attest to. Can unfortunately easily happen once you're pulled over for what would seem a routine traffic stop, as we have unfortunately seen so much in the news nowadays, especially, and without it stopping or slowing apparently. The poor person who unfortunately gets pulled over for possibly a routine traffic stop, very much as this couple does, meets their ends violently. Often is the case, by an accidental shooting from the police officer involved. At the very least, seen without malice by a court of their peers, and thus innocent. If they are found guilty, usually it's a far less sentence than what takes place for what would be a normal, average, everyday person without any law enforcement experience. Here in Hawaii, we know, of a certain person on Obama's Secret Service team that possibly after a night of drinking went to McDonald's and ended up in an altercation, who shot somebody, and pretty much faced no legal retribution for that. And many times this takes place throughout the mainland, unfortunately. Almost on a daily basis, or at least a weekly basis. One just has to open the newspaper, take a look on the internet for the news, and see things like this. So it's no surprise that a movie like this would come out and, take the extreme side of this, as far as, clearly putting them in an innocent situation where things spiral out of control quite suddenly. But yet it's still a little contra. As a man, I can argue and make the case that, yes, Jodie Turner-Smith is a strong black woman, maybe to the detriment of Daniel Kaluuya in this, as you see in the trailer, and definitely much, much more in the movie, that she, although she does not instigate this situation at all, she definitely seems to, unfortunately, take it to the next level. Now, if it had been a white woman, questioning the police so aggressively, for their boyfriend or their husband, in place of Daniel Kaluuya, would a similar event had taken place? Unfortunately, one has to look at the press and see that that's usually not the case. You don't hear of too many Caucasian people getting shot for routine traffic stops. Sometimes it does happen, but not with the frequency or severity that it does happen to, unfortunately, the African American community. And this movie speaks to that cultural divide in our nation that one has to take a look at, and should take a look at objectively, unbiased. And this movie, make no mistake about it, definitely comes on the side of maybe the extreme side of, against the police. Although, in fairness, there are a few officers in this movie that are depicted quite kindly, and actually coming to the defense and aid of, this Thelma and Louise, Bonnie and Clyde couple, Daniel Kaluuya and Jodie Turner play. It is a powerful message in this film. Definitely one that should be looked at, and definitely not forgotten, as unfortunately in America it is a continued problem with race relations, and especially unfortunately our law enforcement, those who are deemed worthy to protect its citizens. Many of its citizens find themselves on the other side of a gun, unfortunately, of a loaded weapon for no reasons at all, or accidental reasons, if I want to try to put a more positive spin on it. And there was a PBS NPR show that kind of discussed in detail why court cases usually side on the side of law enforcement in what would otherwise seem to be such a cut and dry, defense. If I shot somebody, if somebody shot me, usually they would be held to a higher standard in that, and face more justice, more legal problems or predicaments than what police seem to face for these accidental shootings, sometimes often not even losing their jobs, or if they do, going off to a different state and just becoming a patrolman or another police officer in that state. Often just having to move solves the problem. In their eyes, however, their victims, there's no resolution or recourse for the families for that. So yes, this movie is a very controversial movie, but very poignant in today's society that has unfortunately not gotten any easier to accept or any closer to a solution, given our current divided political structure here in the United States currently. It is a good movie. I do give it a strong shock, a thumbs up. Really makes you think. And that's, in the end, all a movie like this can do, and shed light on, a continuing problem, in where we live. And, both Daniel Kaluuya and Jodie Turner-Smith do fine jobs in these roles. And I hope that more people get out and see this movie, as it does address a continuing problem in today's society, hitting home right where we live often. All right. Thank you so much. This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, giving Queen and Slim a shock, a thumbs up. Definite movie to watch, go see, support, and think about on both sides. And, don't forget, that these problems continue to exist, that this isn't just a movie issue, and, it needs constant vigilance to be propelled to some type of solution in today's society. All right. Thank you so much, and aloha.